when you listen to the newest songs, like, you guys sound like a professional band.
And that was all Rich.
Yeah, from the beginning.
He's actually Rich, right behind us. That's where we did the album. Right?
Yeah.
This
And
exact
it sounds
spot.
great.
Yeah.
It sounds incredible, I think. So.
Yeah, thanks for what we had. It was just a progression. Honestly, with like gear too, because it was like, it was we almost started like we were back in time, because it was like, oh, we used the kind of like the same mentality of like the old school recording techniques, and then we stepped it up another way, and then another. And then people have said even like, you know, oh, this sounds like it could be from like the 80s, and then this one can sound like it's from the 90s, and then now the new one sounds more modern. And it's like each one had a different take, a different thought process of recording techniques.
And know what your listeners, because you know you got your listeners, I would say, aren't like, you know, crazy into the weeds with this shit. But a lot of people,
some are.
Right. Well, so maybe some of them will know. A lot of these guys nowadays, I'm against it. It's fake to me. Maybe you won't know this, but like what a lot of guys will do nowadays is they record their guitar, right?
And then they speed it up, right?
No. What they'll do is they'll record their guitar, right? And instead, like what we did for the album is this would sound like common sense to you. We put an amplifier and we put a mic in front of it, and I play guitar and we record the amplifier, and that's the album you hear.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
But that's normal. What these guys do nowadays is they record into a computer, and then they'll pick like, I want to sound like you know, Metallica, Master of Puppets. You can literally download that sound, and it changes the guitar to that sound. So it's not what they actually played. You know, they didn't get that real sound. Where Rich was like, no, we're gonna hook up microphones and get the real sounds. You know, so it was much harder to do, and sometimes it's actually a negative because you get the real imperfection of being. You know,
I also
live.
happened to learn the songs as you were recording them.
Nice.
So,
but that's another thing. We didn't cheat with a lot of these kids nowadays. You know, they're like snipping things. It's like, no, every take, and it was a detriment sometimes, but it was like a positive because we had to earn it. It's like, no, this isn't Pro Tools where you can just like, you know, copy and paste everything and just auto engineer shit. It's like we actually recorded this live.
Yeah, it's actually funny.
When you said like cheating with, I thought you were going to talk about speeding things up. I said,
well, some people do that. Some guitar players will record their parts like 75%.
Well, I remember
I
heard that about like that. I don't really know them well, but I remember hearing about that band Rings of Saturn. People were saying that everything was sped up. There's a lot of stuff people do in the studio that's just crazy.
Metallica and Megadeth, they always sped their shit up. Like they would, but the thing is, they recorded it super fast and then just sped up to make it lightning speed. So that Megadeth's first album is like, it's just humanly impossible to play that fast sometimes. So they sped that up. But like these guys nowadays, they're playing, you know, very low BPMs. Or all of ours are over 200, and these guys are playing at like half speed to make it perfect. And it's like, that's just cheating, man.
And you guys also play completely live, from what I know, right? Which
what do you mean?
You don't use any tracks, you know.
Oh no, yeah, we don't. We were talking about that. We don't use any click tracks, nothing. We just.
What do you think of it? Because I think it depends on the band, and I also think it depends on the amount. So,
I think it's fucking lame.
But one, I could tell you that like the last time I saw them, I go, all right, this is pretty excessive. So, great band. This is not like firing shots, at least in my opinion. Born of Osiris, right? They use a lot of electronics. They're almost like a cross between EDM and metal.
Yeah.
Right? But so. They recently lost a member who does a lot of stuff. He does keyboards, he does backing vocals, and one of the guitarists also plays bass on the albums. So now when you see them live, it's two guitarists, the bass is on a track, the backing vocals are on a track, all the sampling is on a track, the keyboards are now on a track.
Right.
So it's like, is this even a live show at this point? Yeah. And I like them, and they're all really good musicians. But I do feel like at that point it's a little excessive.
I would say backing tracks and like clicks, they're fine. If you're like a huge band, we're not a huge band. Like if you're playing professional festivals, like you might need that because it's so hard to hear when you're playing something that big. But like, and if you have all these samples, you're gonna need that shit.
But that's the thing, you're not a band that uses like electronics. That
right. So to me, I just think I want to be Motorhead. I just want to be a bar band that plays loud. But the more complicated you make that, if you're having samples and keyboards and you don't have a guy like. You might need it, but I just think it's silly. I mean,
the click track.
There's no great bands that I know that like Motorhead didn't use a fucking click track. You know what I mean? So
I did the click track. The click track is good in a way. Like it kind of helps. Like when I played with Extinction AD, we did the click track, And that was also because, like, at the end of the song or the beginning of the song, it'd start with a little sample or whatever.
That makes sense.
Or there would be like a already programmed bass drop, which with Prong I have
which we should get into that you play in Prong.
Yeah. I have the little sample pad, so when I'm playing, like if they're like in Broken Piece, when I'm hitting the spot, I'll just hit the bass drop so that it automatically hits. I don't need a click track or anything for that. But Extinction, we had it where it was that. It was good because adrenaline-wise, when you start a set, sometimes mainly for me, you could start a set or a song faster than you're able to play.
Sure.
I've definitely played some songs with these assholes where I started because he's like, oh, start fast, start fast, start fast. And then all of a sudden I'll go to play the double bass part that I recorded much faster than I could even play it on the recording. Like, what fucking... Throne Possessor. The whole verse is just... and then all of a sudden we'll start the song and then he'll be like, nah, it's gotta be faster. I'm like, asshole, I want to throw the drumstick at him. But then if I had it, like... If I had a click track to exactly what the record was, I wouldn't have to deal with that. Yeah. But some people want that. It's not like, listen, I don't mind it. I like playing without a click track because I can go as fast or as slow as I want. I mean, we always end up playing our shit faster anyways. But
you know what I saw recently in terms of triggers that was kind of crazy because more and more metal bands in particular are using these triggers.
Death metal should be done with triggers.
So I saw not death metal, even though they do have some death metal influence. I saw Fear Factory play what was Nokia Theater times. So I gotta tell you what I saw though, and I'm not a drummer. I know you're super critical of drummer because you're good at what you do. I noticed there were two things going on with the drums. There was some type of electronic drum that was not totally in sync with what it was playing live, and great drummer, but there was definitely some type of electronic backing that to anyone who really knows music, it was noticeable.
Pete Weber is an incredible drummer. I think that's probably.
I think that is, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's
I know
from
that
Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, Mike Heller, was the drummer before.
Mike Heller, who I can tell you, amazing drummer, the most boring live drummer you'll ever see. He plays like this.
This again? I'm sorry.
Fear Factory.
Fear Factory.
But Mike Heller plays in Raven now.
Oh, get out!
Yeah, he's the drummer.
Great drummer, but watch him live. The most boring live performer you will ever see.
Yeah, really? You know what the thing about.
He's behind a desk.
So, the thing about, like, triggers is, like, I am very anti them when it comes to... Because I watch a lot of drummers play heel-toe. I think there's no power behind it, so I'll suffer myself and just put as much power into it to get that. But a lot of death metal, because of how fast it is, if you don't have... Like, I like a low-tuned kick drum. Like, I like it low, I like it to just be like that. If you have a low-tuned kick drum and you start going way too fast on it, it becomes like mud. And then you can't hear it. I've heard from friends that basically death metal bands that go on tour without triggers is basically career suicide because you can't hear shit.
But what about... It's funny because we got death in
Fear Factory, though.
Okay.
As a very industrial band...
Sure.
That their entire sound is basically robotic.
It's supposed to sound robotic.
They should 1000% have triggers. Like when you hear a song like Self-Bias Resistor.
Yeah. But what was that when I heard two things going on? Because I noticed that.
It could be it could be the track behind it. It could be. I mean, I don't know what song it was during. I don't know what else because I know like they have a lot of keyboards and shit. So like it could be like an extra added thing, like a fucking like a random. Like Tom hit or whatever. I have no idea. But yeah,
but
it's
when
like
you're saying death metal bands can't tour without triggers, it's funny because I'm looking at the death poster in front of me. All these bands from the 80s and 90s, they didn't have all that, and they toured.
Yeah, Tom.
No, you're right. But you know, fuck you, dude. You're right.
I'm wondering,
but at least in like with the because even drummers now, you look at Paul from Cannibal Corpse. I'm pretty sure he uses triggers now.
My thing is, I think it sounds stupid because
it sounds stupid if you don't have the right trigger.
No, it's not. That
you can have whatever sound you want.
My thing is, it's not that it just sounds stupid. It's like the classic business question: who asked for this? Like, who went to a show and said, you know, I wish the double bass pedal sounded exactly the same every single time. It's like no one ever said that. So Right, but I'm just saying.
It's just so it sounds clear. Like, listen, I don't
but
use
no one asked. No, what I'm saying is a great point. Yeah, I get it. But no one's ever went to a metal show in the 80s and 90s and said, "I wish the double bass was clearer." Like, I think it's a band thing. The bands were on stage and they wanted to sound better.
Yeah,
and
then
it came from that because
and
the
then
crowd
since then
the crowd doesn't give a shit, you know.
And since then, it's just become
Yeah.
like an industry standard.
It makes sense though.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
And also, I mean, I guess we're calling out bands here, but
Oh.
you and I mean, I'm just going to give honest opinion. I have mentioned on the show, when you and I saw Wasp,
Oh yeah.
we might as well just listen to the CD because
Yeah,
it
that
wasn't
was
just
fake.
triggers. It
vocals.
was everything was
Yeah.
on
I
a
don't
track.
give a fuck. They were awesome that
Were
night.
you at that? But were they awesome?
Paramount?
Yeah, were they
Yeah,
awesome?
they were fucking awesome. I don't give a shit.
But Blackie Lawless sounded exactly like he sounded in
Okay.
1989.
Okay,
and-
great. And then when he got on top of the fucking thing and started swinging it back and forth during fucking what song was that?
But that's gotta bother you as someone who's
Was that
somewhat
Chainsaw
of a
Charlie?
purist.
I gotta say, it's like eating a Snickers bar. Like, it tastes good in the moment, but like, you gotta know it's not good for you. It's
Well,
it's
put it this
Chainsaw-
way:
is that
I had
Chainsaw
It was
a,
lip
Charlie?
syncing. You didn't sing a song, I don't think.
yeah,
at all.
I had a great time with you. Like
I had
at
a
that
No,
show.
you could definitely tell that he sang a couple
I
of
don't
his
think
tracks.
he did. I don't think he did.
You know who does it? Steel Panther does it. And you know what? They do the verses and everything are 100% live.
I have no
The
respect. If you can't sing, just
Shut the fuck up.
No, just retire. man.
Anyways,
Just retire.
no, because you know what?
There's
The
no
one
shame
thing
in
that listen, I think that every band should play live.
But you
know
just
what?
said Wasp was great.
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. I think every band should play live, but also at the same time, if it keeps that band touring,
But they shouldn't be touring. That's the thing.
but like there's two bands that do
It's
it.
like
That
Kiss.
well, Kiss sucks.
But
Anyways,
why does
I
Kiss
dig
suck
it.
and Wasp is great? It's the
Kiss
same
just
thing.
Kiss is just a fucking doo-wop band with like fuck that.
My thing is that
Anyway, I don't give a
you
shit.
can't be-
Fuck Kiss. Fuck Kiss.
There's
Wow.
there's no. No, I like Kiss. But there's no shame in saying, "Hey, I'm in my 60s. I can't do this."
I
anymore."
agree, and-
there's no shame in that. It's like, thank you for your service.
Yeah, I'll give you
You don't
one-
need to lip sync.
So I'll give you one of someone who was a guest on the show, and I sent you some of this, and I think you felt the same way. So I am a huge Dokken fan.
Yeah,
I
so
know
it was a
you're
great
a Dokken
interview, by the
fan.
way. Great interview.
Thank you. The last album that Don Dokken put out, whatever he's able to do in the studio, it was a really good album.
It was
I
a very good
impressed.
album. I made them listen to it. Yeah, that's
I
great.
like this
However, he's not able to do that live, and it's like at that point, maybe just continue making music. But if you really cannot sing the songs live, you are tarnishing your legacy.
So there's two things, like about the two bands that do the backing
Steel
tracks.
Panther, yeah.
Steel Panther does it, which they put on an amazing show outside.
What do
of
they
that.
do though?
Yeah.
What do they do though?
The backing tracks, like the choruses, are not sung live. Everything else is, and they also have they have that whole comedy shtick. The
asked
entire
for
rest.
that? Who said? I
It
wish the
keeps
choruses were perfect.
No, not
Nobody.
even that. But it just that they're able to go on tour. He doesn't hurt his voice as bad.
I also
you know,
feel
I'll
like
give it to
Steel-
him. You know
Go
who
on
else does
tour.
it? The other band that does it is Shinedown, which that's a band that I fucking love.
Really? Wow.
And Brent Smith is one of the best singers in fucking hard
But
rock
if he's
history.
a great singer, why is he doing that?
I think it's because of how many layers
These
there are.
cutting corners.
Yeah, I mean,
And
so
you know
that's-
what? I'll give the cutting corners if it means that band gets to stay on tour for a longer time.
So I mean, Mark, I know you listen to Howard Stern all the time,
Yeah, hell yeah,
and I'm not a fan of this band at all. But this was one that was kind of interesting when, and I don't know if you remember this, when Coldplay played on the show. Howard said, "Wow, that was an amazing harmony that you just did there. Could you guys just do that a cappella? I want to hear that again." And they were like, "No, we're not able to do it. That's all on a track."
Yeah, I think it's.
And that's it's
I
disappointing.
think it's
to people.
disgusting. I think that, in my opinion, and it's an opinion. I'm not saying
Yeah, you're
I
not
don't
right.
enjoy it. No, 'cause I'm a
Fuckhead.
big fan of rock and roll history. Like I love like rock and roll and jazz from the 30s and how it progressed. The reason the electric guitar existed is because blues and jazz musicians would be playing acoustic in the dance halls, and they couldn't hear it, so they needed to amplify. They needed it louder. You know what I mean? So the reason the electric guitar existed was just to make it louder. There's no reason for the back. No one ever said, "Couldn't hear that chorus. Please make it perfect." To me, it's artificial. It's stupid, and I understand. Some of these guys need to make a living. I don't know Dokken. I'm sure the guy's loaded, but there's other bands, and I'm sure like the Bullet Boys. I'm sure the guy needs fucking money, so let's do some backing tracks. I can't.
And by the way, not to say that the Bullet Boys use backing tracks. I don't know if that's.
Hold on.
What I'm saying is that's a band that goes in tour.
Sure, but if people are watching, I don't want people to think
Have you ever had
that was speculation?
Never had Bullet Boys. No.
All right, I'm about to ruin that right now. Fuck the Bullet Boys, Mark Torian. You're a fucking asshole.
Is for something in real life?
I got into a fight with him on Instagram a couple years ago just because I said his new album wasn't that good. Fucking jerk off.